All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here this morning. Thank you, everyone, for attending this panel on unlocking new opportunities for content partners on YouTube. You know, YouTube's a fascinating phenomenon, and if you look at the statistics today, you've got a site that has over 100 million visitors a day, 100 million uniques every month. Every day, 2 billion hours of video, 2 billion videos are consumed. And here's the statistics we were just talking about off stage. Every minute, 35 hours of content is being uploaded to YouTube. That's a lot of cats peeing in toilets, but it's also a lot of other content and interesting artists and creators who are really finding a voice, as well as a network to connect audiences with through professional content as well. Just to do quick introductions, my name's Nathan Coyle. I work in business development and creative artist agency, focusing on the digital new media space. And we've got with us three folks here today to talk to us about YouTube, and we'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Aaron McNally. I work for Google TV Ads. It's an online platform for planning, buying, measuring, and optimizing television advertising.
Hi everyone, my name is Camille Hurst. I work in product marketing at YouTube, and I focus on consumer and entertainment.
Hi everyone, my name is Margaret Haley. I work in partnerships on YouTube, so that's basically YouTube stars or those really famous cats peeing in the toilet.
The famous cats.
Yeah.
So that's actually kind of going to be I think, the point of departure here and where we're going to start. The early days of YouTube were really associated with those do-it-yourself kinds of videos of the person falling off of their bike, or the cat peeing in the toilet, the grandmother trying to sing the national anthem. What we've seen, though, is an interesting migration towards content creators who have been creating from their living room, from their backyard, but have actually started to achieve mass reach and mass followings, and in a couple of cases we're going to talk about, larger than many cable television shows. Lucas Cruikshank, for example, who created Fred, has millions of followers watching hundreds of millions of videos on his site over the last number of years. So one thing I'd like to hear from you guys is in terms of these content creators like Fred, The Annoying Orange, Phil DeFranco, people will talk in a little bit more depth about, how has that evolved? Fred was the first to reach 1 million subscribers, and that was over 2 years ago now.
Right.
Can you speak to the journey that these artists have, or these creators, to getting to that audience and how that works?
Yeah. Well, I think a few years ago we started the YouTube Partner Program, where essentially anyone who is making quality original content on YouTube could become a partner, and we share the advertising revenue with them. And what we've seen is we've seen a lot of people grow up on YouTube and basically become the next generation of new media companies and brands themselves. Michelle Phan is the most popular woman on YouTube. She does a lot of makeup and beauty tips, and she actually has her own deal with Lancome now. So what we're seeing is people maybe starting by vlogging in their bedroom, but really building an audience through being authentic and keeping at it, working hard every day. And we're seeing them becoming major media presences.
So let's talk about the major media presence. And one example in particular that I think is fascinating in seeing these creators actually being able to cross over and sort of leave the YouTube platform into other media. So not to dwell too much on Lucas, but Lucas created a feature film for Nickelodeon, Fred the Movie, which was a huge success, one of the most viewed made-for-television movies on cable, so successful that the sequel is now in production. I think one thing that would be interesting for this room is to hear a little bit about that process. How did that come about? And what's next? Are there other artists and creators on YouTube that will be following a similar journey as Fred?
Yep. So interesting. Lucas launched a channel. Was a kid living in Nebraska, and one of my favorite things is to always go and look at the first videos all these stars create, and you can really see sometimes they're kids playing with their mom's cameras. And in Fred's case, he was had a Halloween wig on and made a really cute video. Well, he had a natural affiliation for the camera, started a channel with his cousins, and eventually broke off just to keep with this character that he called Fred. And got so popular that he has Hollywood agents and managers who approached him to make a traditional TV movie. And I think, you know, a lot of YouTube stars do want to experiment with going into traditional media and doing things offline with TV and movies. And so Fred, actually, it was in 2010, it was the #1 cable movie for kids on Nickelodeon. So.
And how do you see, and we talked about this a moment ago, but how do you see creators like that being able to aggregate those mass followings and get to 1 million subscribers to their channel? What are some themes or secrets or tips maybe that you might have?
Well, I think that for the people who are really popular on YouTube, it takes just what it takes in your business. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication. To get 1 million subscribers, you need to be at it every day, really building an authentic connection with your community, because that's the best way to ensure that you drive consistent views.
Great, great. And do we know of other creators that are interested in or starting to pursue television or film or books or other media that that we should be watching out for in the next year or so?
You know, I think this crossover happens all the time, and initially a lot of people would ask me, well, it's like, was YouTube mad that, for instance, Hot for Words had a segment on Bill O'Reilly for quite some time, and do we see that as a threat? And to me, it's like, you know, music wasn't mad at Jennifer Lopez when she went off and made movies. I think that crossover is natural for artists to want to evolve, but intelligent and smart traditional media companies are going to realize the real power in these stars is the tremendous marketing vehicle they've built on YouTube. Because essentially, you know, these people who have 1 million subscribers and consistently drive that many views to a YouTube video are incredibly valuable from a marketing perspective. And in fact, we have some YouTube stars who are pitchmen and get, you know, tens of thousands, even $100,000 from brands and products to make a video. So I think we've kind of evolved to the point of realizing that these stars need to manage their careers cross-platform. So it's exciting for everybody.
Yeah, and that's actually a nice transition to the next thing we wanted to talk about, which is money. And let's start by, and we're going to talk a little bit about advertising and how that's evolved, but I think it would be interesting to talk, as much as you can disclose, about what some of these content creators and the kind of money that they're able to generate through their YouTube channel and their relationships with YouTube.
Yep. So we don't give out exact numbers, but for our top stars who are either a brand like Michelle Phan, or actually the next generation new media companies like Maker Studios is the station, and they started with several YouTube stars. They're making, well, if you valued them as a media property, they're multi-million-dollar media properties.
It's fascinating, fascinating. And where does that money come from? Which brings us right to advertising and the journey to making YouTube a profitable and revenue-generating enterprise has been an interesting journey with challenges and also innovation. Can you talk a little bit about that, about some of the things that you've developed, some of the things that you're developing and that are working, and then maybe talk about some of the challenges as well?
Well, so the YouTube Partner Program is available to anyone who's making original content and is getting an audience. So we like to think we're a platform available to the next Steven Spielberg, you know, even if he doesn't have great skills. And we show ads on the videos and essentially share, you know, more than half of the advertising revenue with the partner. In terms of ads, we're constantly experimenting. Obviously, Google is a big advertising company, and we just launched a new ad unit called TrueView, which is essentially a skippable pre-roll that we think we're really excited about in terms of being net revenue positive for partners.
I think one of the key things
there.
there.
Would you like to add to that?
Yeah, one of the key things there is that there's no silver bullet here. We're experimenting, we're trying out a lot of new things. One of the recent statistics we announced was Q3 of last year, display is on a $2.5 billion run rate, and YouTube is a huge part of that in terms of Google's overall display run rate. So the skippable ads are just an example of some of the new formats we're trying to really make sure that all of our content partners are profitable.
Right, right. And what about premium or subscription-based kinds of services? We're seeing more and more consumers being willing to happily pay for content, whether it's paying for downloads or paying for, say, in a Netflix or a Hulu kind of model, a monthly premium to have access to more and deeper content. What is YouTube doing there? What is your vision or kind of strategy moving forward? And what are people in the YouTube audience willing to pay for?
Yeah, I think there's definitely opportunity for payment models on YouTube. We actually have a YouTube store where there are thousands of movie titles available for rent today at youtube.com/store, and we're excited about this potential opportunity and looking to consistently add more and more titles. I think the key for us is that YouTube wants to be a entertainment destination and make all types of content available to our audience, which is hungry for video. And adding a payment model really just enables us to open up the platform to all new kinds of content. So look out for more in that area.
Got it. Right. So just building off of that, I mean, one thing that's certainly relevant to this conference and everything, and something that everyone in this room recognizes, is that when you have content that people want to watch, there's money to be made, whether it's through licensing, syndication, some of the traditional models that have been developing over many, many decades. Can you talk, Aaron, a little bit about how the content that people want to watch, there's many videos with hundreds of thousands of views. I mean, that's a success similar to a good performing cable show. Mm-hmm. So what is YouTube's kind of philosophy, strategy, and what are some of the developments that are happening of taking that content and exploiting it in other areas besides just my laptop computer?
Well, I think people have been talking about the converged experience for quite a long time, and it appears that it is finally here. At our company, we have a product called Google TV, which brings the web to your television. And I think some of the implications of that convergence are pretty interesting. I don't know, how many people are familiar with YouTube Leanback? Show of hands quickly. Okay, a few people. So YouTube Leanback is, Leanback sort of describes the living room experience. It's in contrast to when you're sitting in front of your computer and you're sort of leaning forward. In your living room, you're leaning back on your couch. If you go to YouTube/Leanback, you'll actually get the experience on your computer if you don't have a Google TV. And you'll see that it basically turns YouTube into effectively a channel. It just starts streaming videos. And it's very interesting because one of the things that you can do is you can go into a box and type in a keyword, and it'll create instantly a custom channel around that keyword, drawing from all the videos that are available on YouTube. So for example, I'm a big UCLA basketball fan, and I type in the word UCLA basketball, and instantly I'm getting videos of interviews with the coaches, the players, what have you. So now you take that experience and you transport it to a television, to your living room, with a device like Google TV or perhaps other devices, and now you've got a very compelling converged experience in the living room.
Right. And when you have content that millions of people want to watch, again, that's a valuable asset to have. Does YouTube today license or syndicate that content to third parties? And if not, is there a vision to the future in which you might see yourself actually doing deals with networks and channels and operators around the globe to run your content off of the YouTube network?
So YouTube is really focused on optimizing the technology to be an amazing distribution platform. And we leave the content production and licensing to the pros, which are our content creators. So absolutely, our content creators will do deals and are doing deals to syndicate on other platforms, and we'll see this convergence that Aaron talked about over time. But our focus as a company is really on being the best platform for distribution for all of our content creators.
Got it. So it's really the right and the job of the creator in success to find those partners and to do those deals on their own independently in terms of figuring out other ways to exploit the content they're creating.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit now about YouTube's relationship and strategy and vision for professionally produced content. This is another area that I think is an agent, frankly, in the space for 5 years now. It's been an interesting journey to see some of the fits and starts that YouTube has had in this area. And I think for this room in particular, it's going to be interesting to hear you talk about that. I think a good place to start, I find, is instead of talking about strategy or vision, let's talk about something very, very specific. YouTube announced last year a relationship with Ridley Scott and Kevin McDonald to produce and direct a feature film, Life in a Day, which is actually going to be screened and premiering at Sundance later this week. I think it would be really interesting for the audience to hear about that project. How did it come about? What was YouTube's role in that project? And just walk us a little bit through that process, because it's an exciting one.
Sure. So the idea came from within YouTube. What if there were a user-generated film that captured the life of the world in one day? So what we did was on July 24th of last year, we asked our users to film a portion of their lives, and we asked users all over the world to do this. We worked with nonprofits to drop off cameras in remote locations of the world and submit their video later on onto youtube.com/lifeinaday. So what's premiering this week is a documentary that, instead of following one or two people, follows people all over the world and their experiences on this one day in the life of the planet Earth. So it's really exciting, and we can't wait until people see and react to what we think is the first crowdsourced, user-generated film. Another interesting component of this is not only is it premiering at Sundance on Thursday, but it'll also be live streamed on YouTube for its premiere, which I don't think has been done before. So we have a film that's produced by both premier, high-quality content creators in the form of Ridley Scott and Kevin McDonald, and amateur YouTube community folks who, in some cases, didn't even have access to cameras before this project came along. And what we'll see is the marrying of these two elements and these two aspects of the spectrum of content creation, and see something really magical take place this Thursday. So we're excited to see the result and how people react to it. And I've seen the film, and it's fantastic. So
that's great. And we have a trailer that we're going to show at the end of the segment to share with everyone the film.
What I think is interesting also about that is that this is, like you said, it's a crowdsourced film, and when it's released, it's probably going to create another round of sort of crowdsourcing and comment and community. So I think that's part of the power of YouTube, is that it's able to sort of keep that social dialogue going.
Yeah, another interesting social stat about YouTube, over half of the videos on the platform have been rated or commented on. So, YouTube is inherently a social experience. It's not, we took this platform of video, which was kind of endemically a one-way platform, and through YouTube made it a two-way interactive thing. So I think that's an important thing to know with YouTube.
Well, that's a great point, and that's what's inherently different through content creation and also viewing and audience and participation, is the two-way conversation that the platform allows for versus television or motion picture or other media. So let's talk just a little bit more about Life in a Day. How, for example, how did Ridley Scott get involved, and how did that kind of come together?
Well, there was a lot of excitement inside of YouTube, and we worked with our marketing team internally to kind of reach out and see who would be interested. And we were thrilled to find out that Ridley Scott was really excited to come on board and had actually been thinking about doing a documentary of this flavor. And he has, Ridley Scott and Kevin McDonald both kind of knew the trajectory of the story ahead of time, but they were really excited when they saw all of the footage come in, that there were new stories that they hadn't even thought of, and new themes emerged. So, it's exciting.
Got it. And that was through relationships that YouTube has in Hollywood through various agencies and managers or what have you to get to Ridley.
Yes, yeah.
Got it. And then was it Ridley that then brought Kevin in to direct ultimately?
It was. Yeah.
As a producer would. Okay. Should we show that clip now, actually? That might be kind of an interesting thing to do. Is that easy to roll that?
Okay.
I had a major heart operation. I'm very thankful to the beautiful staff, for these people that have treated me like just treated me so well. In a short while, I will be on the road to recovery, and I'll be out there again, doing crazy things, and enjoying life.
So a very exciting development, and one that I think is going to be interesting to see that unfold. So what's next? What is this YouTube strategy and goals and sort of objectives when it comes to professionally produced originals? What's the thinking there? What can we share with this audience in terms of how they might get involved or what to look forward to?
Well, I think one exciting thing we're really committed to is the platform. And our feeling is the Steven Spielberg of tomorrow is on YouTube today. So we're doing a lot of micro payments and micro grants to YouTube people who are just starting out. In December, we gave a $500,000 and $1,000 credits to buy better camera equipment. So we're really trying to keep the ecosystem and the platform robust and healthy so it continues to, you know, turn out the Michelle Fans, Annoying Orange, and Freds. So from the YouTube star perspective, that's what we're really committed to.
Got it. And how do you see professional content creators from a Ridley Scott and the numerous others who have an interest in new media being successful on YouTube?
You know, that's a good question. The people who are super successful on YouTube have been at it for a while. There's no one on the site who has over 1 million subscribers who hasn't really been working at it hard for several years. So I would turn that question back to you. So if I came to you and said, how can I be successful in your area of expertise, be it film or TV, you'd probably tell me, you know, work at it really hard and it'll take a few years. So I think it's very similar. There will be some opportunities for people to, you know, join up with established YouTube stars and maybe produce something that's different. So I would encourage you all to get a YouTube channel and, you know, start experimenting with it at whatever level that is, either repurposing the content that you're currently making or creating new content.
I think the key is also to really leverage the platform and do things in a way that's uniquely YouTube. So this week is an exciting week for YouTube because not only do we have Life in the Day premiering on Thursday, but on Thursday as well, President Obama is giving the State of the Union address, and the very first interview he'll be giving after the address is with YouTube. And it's not a traditional interview in the sense that it's a one-way or two-way communication between the interviewer and President Obama, but YouTube is actually sourcing the questions for the interview from the YouTube community. So if you go to youtube.com/askobama, you'll see what is the first in our new series called YouTube Worldview, where we'll be sourcing questions from the community for world leaders, and we'll be doing this regularly over the next year. And so, again, it's premium content, but done in a way that really leverages the uniqueness of YouTube's platform, which is inherently social. It's enabling two-way conversation. It's using the community to create something that's a marriage between premium and this new medium and excitement we see on the web.
Got it. I think that's a great point. I mean, not only will the questions be submitted by viewers and citizens, but they're going to also be commented on and voted on, right? So, I mean, all the sort of best questions should rise to the top. And I think it's that social aspect that makes everything so different. I mean, the early days of television and film, I mean, the content was effectively sort of filmed plays, right? So people were thinking, oh, well, we used to have this old medium, now we can just simply film it, and now we have a new medium. I think the key thing for anyone that's out there trying to develop content for YouTube is to think about ways that it is different, the ways that the social aspects that make it a truly different medium, so that the content's not just simply a copy of other content that's available through other media.
Got it. And that's actually a perfect transition to the next area I wanted us to talk about. We spent a lot of time talking about content that's created on YouTube, whether it's the sort of do-it-yourself home videos to some of the YouTube stars that have really had a lot of success, and now people like Ridley Scott creating content for the platform. Let's talk about the network. you've established a fan base and a following and a reach that's one of the largest on the web and certainly exceeds any network that we know of in any traditional sense. This room in this conference is about selling content and creating new relationships for content creators to be able to distribute that. What are the thinking in terms of, and we've certainly seen a lot of success from traditional networks, from ABC to CNN and others establishing rich presence on YouTube. What's the advice or the strategy or the vision or thinking about how other different kinds of content owners can use the platform in an effective way to distribute their content?
I think the key is to just start a channel, really. Like I said before, we're in the business of figuring out the best way to distribute the content. We look to the experts in the content creation field to take advantage of the platform that we create. And so step one is definitely, try it out, come on board, let's try some things out together. Start a channel, start building an audience. Margaret is the expert here on building an audience on YouTube. And let's take it from there and create some magic together.
And not to get too in the weeds on this, but can you just at a very high level just explain what that means exactly when you say start a channel?
Do you want to go?
Yeah, well, I mean, anyone can have a YouTube channel. Just go in, sign up for it. We can make you a partner if your content's original. Of course, we always respect original content. And then I think in terms of building an audience, authenticity and engagement are rewarded. So people want to be in a conversation, they want to be connected. And that's why these YouTube stars have really built up a fan base that'll follow them and support them wherever they go. So maybe rethink whatever it is that you're doing in a way that you can be in conversation with people and that you can engage with them.
Got it. And this takes us right to the next thing we wanted to talk about, which is kind of audience fragmentation versus convergence. And it's fascinating. If you look over the last 35 years, we've gone from 3 channels to 15 to 50, and with the mass penetration of web video, we now live in a world where the number of channels is literally infinite. What that leads to, just in a natural sort of repercussion, is a massive fragmentation of the audience. In that world, and particularly, in no place is it more relevant than the YouTube ecosystem, how does one aggregate an audience? How does one kind of build a following in a way that actually creates convergence instead of just the wild fragmentation?
Well, I would say, you have to establish that conversation. You've heard that sort of theme come up over and over again. I think, build that community, whether it's via a channel or, by other means. And then you have to think about, obviously, if you're in a for-profit business, how you go ahead and monetize that community. I think, obviously advertising is the thing that a lot of folks think of right off the bat. And in order to advertise to a fragmented audience and to advertise, in a scalable way, you need scalable solutions. So I think you're going to see a lot more sort of scalable, automated solutions for buying advertising across video.
Got it. Okay. So let's change gears here a little bit and talk about secondary distribution of existing content. So a lot of what we've talked about today is original content. Again, whether it's from a YouTube content creator or a more established artist who's created a career in Hollywood. If you go back 4 years ago, 3 years ago, when YouTube was really becoming a mass cultural phenomenon, and much of what was there was original. What we've seen in the last 2 years is lots of ways for the consumer and the audience to access existing shows that were created for other media, whether it's TV shows or films or what have you, through legal means like a Hulu or Netflix or others, or even the premium content channels on YouTube. So that's an interesting and kind of new dynamic to really have access to a lot of TV properties, films, et cetera, in the same kind of on-demand way that we've become accustomed to with what YouTube represents. As that's proliferated and grows, how do you see that competition for the audience as eyeballs changing, and what is that? How does that influence the dynamics of the content creators on YouTube? Does it become harder to find that audience when you're competing now online with other and even more different kinds of entertainment?
Well, I think that's always the challenge, is building an audience. if you think of it in one way, people are still watching 5 hours of TV to 15 minutes of video, so I never think it's a zero-sum game. The best way to get an audience is first to make great content, right? And that always, and keep at it, that always seems to win. Other things like YouTube is the #2 search engine in the world. So as you mentioned, 4 years ago, we were accustomed to not be able to see anything we watched as soon as we wanted to watch it. But now, I mean, I get frustrated if I want to see a great highlight play from last night and I have to wait a few hours to watch it on TV. I mean, we want to see things now. So I think, you know, our cultural expectations are changing. We've gone from 24 hours of video every minute in the last month to 35 hours of video every minute. So more and more stuff is coming online. And it is more and more challenging to really stick out. But you know, if you're making great content and you're describing it well so our algorithms can search it, people are going to find you.
One other point there is that YouTube, our goal is to be very promiscuous. So we want to see ourselves on mobile, on television, also on the desktop. So the YouTube mobile site, which launched mid last year, m.youtube.com, already is getting 200 million playbacks per day. You can catch YouTube on YouTube Lean Back now, which enables us to have a really great experience on the biggest screen in your house, your TV. So yes, the audience is fragmented, but it's also watching from multiple screens and using YouTube as the one platform across all of those screens.
I think the point that Margaret made about zero sum is absolutely spot on. And there's so much fear that, you know, competition for eyeballs, and yet the community continues to grow. I remember back in the day when TV programs first started being put online, there was a lot of concern about, oh my God, you know, the ratings for traditional linear are going to go down. They actually went up. It formed a sort of promotional vehicle. It formed a conversation. People were commenting on videos. Whole websites developed around this. I mean, I think this notion that you know, of competition is, you know, it's fair, but I think there's also clearly not a zero-sum game happening here. The consumption of video is still going up year after year.
Now, one of the examples we like to give there is the advent of the iPhone and Android didn't kill the telephone industry. Right. By any means, it's made it more powerful, and people are using it even more today, and that's kind of how we see YouTube and online video.
Well, it's not unlike traditional television, and as we've seen with DVRs and TiVo, and obviously the concerns and issues that's raised, but one thing it has done is increase the amount of TV people watch.
That's right.
So we do continue to see the consumption of video and hours spent doing so increasing, which is good for all of us. The last area I wanted to talk about is social media. You could argue that the corollary and kind of the you know, peanut butter to the chocolate of user-generated content is social networking. The reason why I put up a video or some videos from a trip that I took to South America or from my mother's 75th birthday is because I want my friends and family to be able to watch it. Facebook obviously has made a ton of progress, and you know, now is really the force when it comes to that kind of social networking. But when it comes to video and the kinds of things that YouTube is known for and we go to YouTube for, what is your strategy there? What's kind of the vision, and how do you see social media becoming a stronger piece of in social networking, a stronger piece of what YouTube's offering to the audience and the consumer?
So one thing I would note is a huge piece of YouTube's success is the fact that the platform is inherently social. I mean, we introduced comments and ratings at a time when that was really seen as something new for a video website. So Facebook gets a lot of credit for its progress in the social space, but YouTube really was an innovator in this area as well. So that's one thing I note. Second, to my earlier point about being promiscuous, we see tons of traffic being driven by Twitter and Facebook. I mean, every time a video is tweeted from YouTube, it results in 6 to 9 new video sessions happening on our platform. So for us, integrating as many hooks into these networks as possible is really a goal. And we really want to be on every platform and be shared across the board. And we're consistently looking at new ways to bring more relevant, fresher social features into the site.
Got it. And so it's about having the platform of YouTube be a part of the conversations that are happening on Twitter and Facebook, and being able to leverage and link and pull those videos in. versus having your own kind of social networking built out from within.
Exactly. I think YouTube is the common thread in the pattern, in the fabric of the internet. So every time a conversation happens around video, we want YouTube to be the common theme in that conversation.
Got it. Okay, great. So that leaves about 5 minutes in our session today, and we did want to allow for a couple of questions from the audience. So anybody out there in the back of the room?
Just speak.
Okay. Yep. So the question was,
let me just play it. The
yeah.
question was about the grant the grants that are given out. How does that process work, and how do people find those and connect to those?
Right. So this also hooks on to what we last talked about. We want to be the video place. If you want to create content, YouTube is the perfect home for you. And the ecosystem is very important for us. We want to really make sure that there's a constant flow of people doing it for fun, making it a hobby and getting paid, a part-time job, full-time job, career, brand, and then new media company. So one of the things we're doing to show our commitment to our original content creators is a grant program. So in December, we gave our top 500 channels worldwide, and we decided this by subscribers, which is a good metric. $1,000 credit to B&H Photo, so they could go buy better equipment, lighting, audio, whatever they needed to make higher quality videos. Because we know the better the quality of the videos, the more exciting the advertisers will be about sponsoring them. Although I've got to say, advertisers really recognize the value of YouTube stars and the original content on YouTube. So we've got a star right here. So Marina from Hot for Words, there you go. So, and you did have a segment on Bill O'Reilly, right? See, she's still on YouTube. So.
Right. Other questions?
Yeah.
I think we've got a microphone coming over to you.
That'll make it easier. Thank you. You had mentioned the store in this conversation, and I'm wondering if there's a timetable when you intend.
We're having a hard time. Can you speak up a little bit? Sorry.
You had mentioned the store.
The store.
And I'm trying to get a sense of when you're intending to open that up to other content producers, that they can sell DVD titles and other content that they have through their channel.
Did you catch all
I think
that?
it was a question about the store as a producer of indie titles, right?
Yes, as a partner on YouTube. Can you hear me?
Okay.
As a partner on YouTube, if you have a timetable for opening up the store, so you can sell, so other content producers can sell titles and other information, other content on their YouTube channel.
So I think the question is about how to develop merchandising kinds of possibilities off of channels. Is that, I think, a summary of it?
I think he's talking about renting from the YouTube store.
Why don't we talk afterwards, since I didn't catch your full question, but yeah, we'll just catch up afterwards. Sorry about that. Unless you want to shout it out.
Right here in front?
What's the best way to get sponsorship if you've got original content that has a unique audience?
So what's the best
question
way?
was, what's the best way to get sponsorship if you have original content and you're working on the YouTube platform?
So will you automatically get sponsorship just by being a YouTube partner? I mean, you have our whole Google sales force selling ads against your content. We do allow partners to make their own deals with advertisers. And I think what advertisers really want to see is distribution. So as somebody who's starting out, you may not, unless you're really niche-y and can appeal to a certain advertiser, most advertisers are looking at somebody who can drive a lot of views. That would be very niche-y. That probably the best thing to do would be just make good content and let us monetize it for you and build your audience. Because the ad sales business is tough, right?
I mean, that's I think one of the sort of really interesting things about YouTube and a platform like Google TV Ads is that it is this automated system, right? So think of all the time and effort that is being put into monetizing your content. You know, coming to a conference like this, flying to Miami, and having 100 meetings. All the platforms, the tools that are available on YouTube, and the tools that are available on Google TV Ads make this all happen with a click of a button. Right. So it really is quite extraordinary, the sort of opportunities that you have for monetization.
The best advice for you is to add really rich metadata, which is just words around your video, description, tags, because it'll probably be very technical. And that way we can match you to higher value ads. And then we have a tool called video targeting. If somebody approaches you and wants to advertise against your video, you can go to google.com/video targeting, and you can have them bid for ads just against your channel.
Okay. So I think we have time for just one more question. Anybody else want to ask over here on this side of the room? Oh, back in the back there.
Hi, Jose Bravo, Clear Image. I wanted to ask, in terms of licensing the other way around, licensing for, let's say, television and things like that, do you guys take care of the licensing for each individual video, or do you have to go to each individual person that has posted those videos? Is there some type of program you guys have for that?
No problem.
No,
it's all done through the individual content creator.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah, we don't get in between the content creator and their licensing deals.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it seems like the theme that's come up, or at least what we've talked about, is that the content that's created on YouTube, and I'm playing back, Camille, really what you've been saying, is exploited throughout the YouTube system, both on broadband, but then on other platforms, television, mobile, et cetera, but when it comes to actually taking that content off of YouTube and exploiting it and distributing it in other ways, that's really the responsibility of the content creator, and not something YouTube's really involved with at this time.
Right.
Yeah, well, we're a platform really built to benefit the content creators, and they own the content. We'll host it, store it, serve it, monetize it, but we allow partners to broker their own ad deals on occasion, and to also broker their own offline deals. So we don't claim any exclusivity. So we think we're a really friendly place for people to come and upload their content.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone, and for coming, and thanks to our panelists. I think it was really interesting to hear from YouTube directly about where it's at today and where it's headed, and how we can all work together to connect with audiences and get our content seen.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you.